Big game energy. Spencer, Dom, James hanging out with you again. We are going to be continuing our series. We are moving to the AFC now. We are going to be breaking down the Chiefs and why they will not win the Super Bowl in 2026. We're going to start with the Kansas City Chiefs for our boy Dom here. Dom is a diehard, lifelong Kansas City Chiefs fan, so it's going to be an interesting dynamic as we go through the Chiefs today. But let's get it started. The Kansas City Chiefs are one of the best teams we have seen this past decade, bar none. They have a very, very established legacy with high-profile coach, high-profile quarterback, but it will not be enough to get them back to the Super Bowl in 2026. Last year, the Chiefs entered the season as heavy favorites to win the Super Bowl, and after starting 5-3, they lost the final 8 of 9 games to finish the season. And adding injury to insult, Patrick Mahomes tore his ACL in Week 15 as the Chiefs were eliminated for postseason contention. What'd they do in the offseason? Well, one big change is they brought back offensive coordinator Eric Bieniemy. And then they made the big prized free agent signing Super Bowl MVP Kenneth Walker, running back, at a 3-year, $43 million contract. In the draft, they draft cornerback Mansour Delane, 6th overall, highly touted defensive back out of LSU. And then 29th overall, they grab Peter Woods out of Clemson. So some good moves there to add some talent to this roster. But Dom, we'll start with you, Chiefs fan. What's going to hold the Chiefs back from winning the Super Bowl this year?
You know, I'm going to take off my Chiefs hat and I'm going to treat this as a guy from the outside looking in. I'm going to keep the hat on, but I'm going to not be the season ticket, diehard fan, guys with tattoos. I'll start. Number one is number one. The Chiefs don't have a true number one wide receiver. I know that you just picked up Kenneth Walker, great signing, but you can't run an offense just out of a bell cow system, and you can't rely on Travis Kelce anymore, as great as he is and as great as he'll go down in Chiefs history and NFL history. He's a 37-year-old tight end, who that offense you can depend on him, but he cannot be your go-to guy. He can't be your number one receiver at the tight end position. Rashee Rice, we have no clue what's going on with him. Xavier Worthy is currently listed as your number one right now on the depth chart, who is very injury prone. And honestly, you don't have a number one receiver or you don't have a receiver on your roster that's played 17 games in their career yet. So I think that's probably the number one reason, is that Patrick Mahomes, teams are scheming against him. I don't think the success of the backyard football is going to work for him this season because of that scheme, and also because he doesn't have a Tyreek Hill and a Travis Kelce to throw the ball to like he used to 3, 4, 5 years ago. So that would be like my number one reason to start. And then I think another one could be just like Andy Reid is always getting in his own way. Now, Eric Bieniemy coming back, that's a huge deal, who may be able to talk him off a ledge from time to time, but we've seen Andy Reid abandon the run game, and we've seen Andy Reid get ahead of him himself. So those would be my top 2 reasons for sure on why they're not going to win the Super Bowl. And
Dom,
the division's tough.
Dom, how many skill position teams, like running back, receiver, and tight end, how many teams would you have over the Chiefs? Because I could probably pick over 20 teams.
Yeah, quite a bit.
Group.
I mean, even when you factor in the Hall of Fame talent of Travis Kelce, that team's number one receiver and running back outweigh having him on your team. So half our division, like honestly, already, and then half the AFC. I think it's just really difficult to continue to have the success that the Chiefs have had without a true go-to guy. And that goes back to Andy Reid. If you look at Andy Reid's entirety of his career, he's never really had a big body number one receiver. Terrell Owens, that was a successful mistake, but that's not a typical Andy Reid signing. I mean, that's the Deshaun Jackson, the Tyreek Hills, the McCole Hardmans, the Sky Moores, the guys that are no longer successful in the league.
God, I hate that guy, Sky Moore. I hate that guy for one reason only. And
he's still in the league. I forgot what team he's.
But yeah, I mean, I think the skill position, that's a huge thing. And again, like I love Kenneth Walker signing. I think that's great for the Chiefs. But we're talking about why they won't win a Super Bowl, which again pains me sitting here with all this stuff on to even talk about this, but I'm gonna talk about it.
Well, y'all got enough Super Bowls already, in my opinion. I think you're not over here squandering for success. I think you've had enough, that other fan bases would be extremely jealous of. Trust me.
Sure, but it's like a shark, once you taste that blood in the water, man, you just want more of it, I think, those are the top things. I mean, I think even the front seven is a little shaky as well. You've got an agent Chris Jones. George Karlaftis is a really good guy. But outside of that, in the linebacker position, you've got a Nick Bolton who's kind of been battling injuries over the last couple of seasons, who's also not that great of a defender either, Great in the run game. I think that there's a multitude of reasons, but those would be like the top three.
I think my problem with the receiving core is you're going to have probably Rashee Rice that leads the wide receivers in targets, but he's someone whose like average depth of target is like less than 10 yards. He's a screen and run guy. He's a yak guy. And that video they posted of his go route repetition.
I thought you were going to say him running out of jail.
Oh my God, it looked bad. He looked like he was running with every ounce of strength in his body, and he was not moving very fast. Now, again, he's not someone that runs a lot of go routes. He has one touchdown over 40 yards in his entire career. But Xavier Worthy is a name that we've been waiting for him to bust out. He had all that hype coming out of UT. And I remember so many people were just livid about the Bills trading out of the pick with the Chiefs and letting them trade up to get Xavier Worthy. People were ready to hang them in the streets because how could you enable the Chiefs to get Xavier Worthy? And he just hasn't been that guy. It's one of those things where we have to remember this in the combine, that just because someone runs a fast 40, that does not translate to being fast on the field, because Xavier Worthy should be flying by people in theory, and cornerbacks stay on his hip. I don't know where that speed goes.
He should look like a Tyreek Hill out there.
Yeah.
Tyreek Hill had game speed. That's what we saw on the field. One of the fastest players in the league. We don't see that out of Xavier Worthy. And he's just a fragile guy. We see it a lot on those go routes. If he gets touched, he's going to be out for 2 or 3 plays.
Yeah. I think the Chiefs, we're gonna see a lot of Justin Fields in like a Taysom Hill role, because like you mentioned, there's not a ton of weapons there. You got some decent guys like Rice, and I still think Travis Kelce, he is in his waning days, but I think he's still going to be good for like 700 yards.
Yeah, no, he's going to go out there and give you
catches,
80, 90, maybe a couple 100-yard games, 2 touchdown games.
It ain't going to be sexy, but he'll produce a little bit.
Right. His shoulders can't take that much longer, though.
This is going to be an offense revolving around Kenneth Walker, though, because I even look at the running back depth. You got Amari DiMercato, who was a cast-off from the Cardinals last year as your RB2. That tells me that Kenneth Walker is going to get force-fed the football a lot.
Yeah, no, I look at this team, Dom, and I know this is your squad, and you mentioned kind of things that I had a question about: the receiving group, the depth chart. I was going to say, correct me if I'm wrong, besides this last draft class, 'cause I really liked the cornerback from LSU. I don't think y'all draft well.
We do on the defensive side of the ball.
And maybe that's just an offensive thing then, because I think about like the Clyde Hilaire Edwards.
When you look at, obviously hindsight's 2020, but when you look at the guys that have been picked, McCole Hardman, who was drafted after him, when you look at Clyde Edwards, Jonathan Taylor was in that draft. So yes, no, I agree. We don't draft well, and I think for a long time it was this whole "in Veach we trust." We trust Brett Veach, and great guy on the defensive side of the ball. I mean, he's drafted several All Pros on the defensive side of the ball. We've seen what happened with McDuffie. We've seen L'Jarius Sneed. We've seen all these guys, but yeah, I would agree on the offensive side of the ball. It's the Chiefs have not had 1,000-yard rusher since 2017 Kareem Hunt. So almost 10 years without a 1,000-yard rusher. Granted, hopefully Kenneth Walker can do that. I mean, he's very capable of it. He should.
He got paid to do it. He better.
should.
And I think just by sheer, just kind of by default, he's gonna get it. Like, because it's just the
60
yards have to
a game.
come from somewhere.
Yeah, I mean,
the Chiefs are not going to be one of the worst offenses in the league. No. Someone has to get this production. I think it's just slated to be Kenneth Walker. Draft him everywhere in fantasy, but it might not translate to a lot of wins on the field. So, guys, for the 2026 season, my prediction for the Chiefs, I do have them at 11-6 and going back to the top of the AFC West as division champs. However, I don't think they will have that same Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid playoff magic we've seen in the past. I think we could potentially see that ship has sailed, and I see them losing in the first or second round.
I have on paper, the Chiefs going 8-9. Par injuries, at least 10-6, high ceiling for me. But again, do they win this division? No. And I think they get in. And then unfortunately, they probably face a team like the damn Texans, who has probably the most gauntlet of a defense. And it's like, damn, this is where, again, where's that wide receiver one going to take the top off on a team like that in the playoffs?
Yeah. I'm a homer. I'm going to go 11. 11 wins. I'm just going to give you the win total. I just can't utter the words why they won't win a Super Bowl this year. So 11 wins, top of the division. We'll see what happens after that.
Yeah.
All right.